You are tuned in to Kids
In the pit.
Raise the stakes! Let's march a gamble!
Hey guys, it's Gabe from the Kids of the Pit podcast. Today I'm being joined by Adam Hussler from the band Power Play. Thanks so much for joining me.
No, thanks for inviting me. Happy to be here, Gabe.
So we met through Furnace Fest. Did you have fun at Furnace Fest this year?
I mean, it's a blast every year. It's been really cool to see the resurgence of it. From the 20 years ago to the current iteration. Definitely the first year back, coming out of the pandemic, it was cool. I got to run into your mom, who I hadn't seen in, probably 15, 20 years. But it was basically like a giant high school reunion, if you will. So it was definitely a great time. And I mean, it's always great to see a lot of smiling faces, a lot of great bands, and just overall good vibes all weekend.
Yeah. So I assume you went 20 years ago too?
No, no,
Oh,
didn't make it out there 20 years ago. I was at the old Health Fests in the Syracuse one at the Equestrian Grounds, and then the Jersey one, may it live in infamy, at the Rexplex in Elizabeth. Were the two that I got to go to back then. But no, didn't go to Furnace Fest back then. Um, which is weird because a lot of that lineup was stuff that that was in line with stuff I would listen to. So just happenstance at the end of the day.
yeah. My mom went to two of the old ones, I think, but my dad was too young.
I think me and your mom are in that same age range, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. You can say it. Mom, you're a pedophile.
Whoa.
47 and my dad's 40. 40. So 7-year age difference. Not that bad. I
Well, I mean,
mean,
I'm somewhere in the middle there. I'm at 42, so
But I think at Furnace Fest, the first ones, he would have been like 13.
yeah, that's crazy. Wait, yeah, so the first one's like 1997. But was
He would have been
wait,
12.
was the first one 1998 or
I, I want to say it was through 2001 or 2002 on the original four.
okay.
Um, I
He was like my
mean,
age.
I would have been. It was 2000 through 2004, I think, or
Okay.
2003 was
So
the original one.
he would have been 15 and you would have been 22.
Weird.
So yeah, I mean, I was finishing high school when Furnace Fest started.
Yeah.
So
Okay. So what do you do in power play?
I am the singer and pretty much handle most of our socials aside from Julius, who is our drummer, and yeah, take care of pretty much all the back end stuff as well as writing lyrics and screaming at people's faces.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm the singer in my band as well, and I do a lot of that stuff too. Um, so what year did power play start and were you always in the band?
So I am the original singer. Julius is the original drummer. We're the only two originals from the iteration that started it to now. Started back in 2021, so it was kind of like a lot of bands right now that aren't more of the legendary or legacy bands, kind of born out of the pandemic, if you will. And it was Julius and another friend of ours, Victor, that was jamming out. And Victor hit me up and said, "Hey, you still writing?" I said, "Yeah, never stopped." So he goes, "Want to come out and jam with us?" So we ended up hanging out, and just one thing led to another. I think the consistent irony that me and Julius laugh about to this day is from day one, we were like, we don't care about making merch. We don't care about touring. We don't care about, you know, going to this place and that place. It's maybe we'll play a couple shows and we'll just, this is just to have fun and jam out and everything like that. And we're at this point now where we've done a lot of tours. I think the final count for this year was, I think, 58 shows. And, next year is gearing up to be even crazier. So kind of blows
Wow.
our mind.
Yeah,
What's your show number?
I think we're at 50, 54, maybe 53, something like that. But I think that's for all of our shows.
That's a year and a half.
So that's for a year and a half.
I mean, it's not. Look, if I was in my early teens and I had a show count like that, I'd be proud of it. I mean, dude, there are bands that I work with that would be happy to be doing 50 shows a year that that
Yeah.
don't even have that count. And I mean, it's really cool. Obviously seeing it through your socials and through your mom's posts where you guys are out there and it's young and it's hungry and but it's doing the damn thing and it's just playing music that you like and just enjoying what all of this really is.
Yeah. Um, what was I gonna say? I was gonna say something about. Oh yeah, I mean, I think we will we reach 50 shows if we're at because I think we did it was 8 last year. No, maybe 9. Maybe wait, will we reach 50 shows?
I don't
Because
think this year, no.
minus that'd be 45.
4 more shows this year,
So we'll get to 49.
maybe.
Damn.
Time to do a pop-up show.
Yeah.
Front porch.
Yeah, front porch.
House party. Don't tell
Yeah.
mom.
So, you're in Florida, right?
Yeah, South Florida.
Okay. We're doing a weekend there in March. I'm not sure we're going south though. I think it's gonna be Daytona Beach, Tampa, and then
We don't know where else yet.
yeah, we're not sure about the another show, but
Nice. I
it's
know
in
Daytona's
March.
awesome. Punk Rock Pizza
Yes, we're
is
playing.
so we're actually playing there in 2 weeks. That's actually we're playing literally, I think it's January 2nd. So literally kicking off the new year. We're coming right out of the gate in 2026 doing we do a week to a week and a half tour every year in January because we're Floridians. So like it's like, hey, let's just do the Southeast. And every year we've either run into the freak snowstorm last year that blanketed all of Florida and Georgia in the South, or we all end up getting the flu or getting each other sick like the third day in. So this year we kind of broke it up and we're doing kind of weekender throughout January. Our friends in Reviler from South Carolina are actually doing the third weekend with us as well. So, looking forward to just hanging out with friends and seeing a lot of cool people, a lot of good bands.
Nice, sounds cool. Yeah, continue. Okay. Do you have a favorite power play song to play live?
Ooh. Um, that's a tough question, man. Honestly, there are songs that I like more than others. um, but it's honestly hard to narrow down a favorite that I enjoy playing live because honestly, I love how we write as a band. And I try to write things that are personal to me, to my experiences. Um, it's cool that it resonates and it echoes with a lot of people that listen to our music and gets that reaction and the sing-alongs and everything else. But it's very much a cathartic process for me in dealing with my stresses in writing. So it's hard to narrow it down to a favorite, whether I mean, I love the new stuff we're doing. Enumel is definitely become a heavy contender, I guess, if you would, if I had to pick a favorite. The Bottle Won't Get Me Tonight, which is typically how we close our set, is really near and dear to me because it is written about my best friend who is also a person rather, that everybody meets at Furnace Fest, which is Matt, who's one of the other quote unquote stage daddies, if you will. And just kind of written through his eyes and of going from drinking a lot and having to go through AA and everything like that to, being sober for over a decade and, and obviously straight edge, but also just, the way he's overcome and stuck with it and now works, got himself through nursing school, works in the ICU and, out in Arizona. So, I mean, works in a cardiac unit. So, I mean, there's a lot of things that playing that makes me happy because it's talking about people at their darkest and people that are drowning themselves and drowning their problems, whether it be through substance, whether it be through alcohol, whether it be, through a number of different things, and just kind of coming out clean on the other side and not letting it get you and not letting it overcome you. And, seeing what he's achieved at this point, it just makes me honestly just proud to be his friend.
Nice. Yeah, that's great. Are you straight edge too?
I'm not.
Okay.
I commonly get at so the answer is I'm I don't claim anything. I'm sober. But I don't even say that I'm sober. I just exist. I don't drink anymore. I was never into drugs or anything like that. So it's just here I am.
Yeah, nice. So I heard you have a new album coming out in April.
Yeah, we're really stoked on it. We've started the recording process. Um, Enumon is going to be, which is already up right now on our Spotify. That was released as a single, is already going to be on that album as well, since that was never album release. We have a new track that we just recorded called Liberosis, that we just finished in the studio. That's written about mental health. We are really excited about it. We have a lot of good surprises. We have some great guest vocals that we have arranged on it, especially with Liberosis. Perhaps that song will be an anthem, or maybe wake some people that are dead. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge, if you will. But definitely excited to just kind of get new music out there. We've kind of been coasting on some of the stuff we wrote as a band when we originally came out for a while, and it's gotten to that point where it's boring to us. I'm sure you've been playing music for a couple of years now. You can relate, where it's like, what I liked right then and there doesn't really match up with what I like right this second. So
Yeah, yeah. We're writing a lot of new songs at the moment. Me and my drummer were like, so we'll have band practice, and then we'll have like 2 or 3 days a week. No, probably not three, but like 2 days a week. Other than band practice, my drummer will just come over and we'll just write a song. We try to aim for like a song a week. So
I mean, that's that's lofty, man. And I mean, but it's awesome that, and it speaks to the creativity and the process of everything in getting it going. And that's what's so cool, about what you're doing here with the podcast, about you guys playing music, and your parents being so supportive and getting you guys on the road and everything. Like it's every teenage kid's dream, especially in my age range, where we grew up at like the peak of the MTV era, when it wasn't reality TV, when it was actually music television, and seeing, punk bands and metal bands and, well, hair metal bands back in my day, but but like hitting the road and getting out there, and everybody's like, man, like I want to go out there and do something like that. And like you don't grasp the full concept of it until you really do it. But it's what I've found fascinating, coming especially out of like the pandemic and everything, and the world kind of shutting down for a while, is just seeing the hunger for everything that is hardcore and hardcore adjacent. I'm using it as the broad spectrum term, to be all encompassing and really bring in, just in mass, a lot of young fresh faces, and I see it reflected at the shows. There's a lot of people in their mid to late teens and early 20s now is the predominance of the crowd. So it's just been cool seeing everybody get hungry for it, and seeing hardcore in general blow up with bands like Turnstile, getting their flowers, and kind of opening that door and segueing a lot more bands into the fold, and kind of that intro to, hey, this is this whole other community that's not this. Come check it out.
yeah, for sure. So you also have a booking company. Tell me about that.
Sure. So we have Get in the Van booking. Started it a little over a year and a quarter, a year and a half, give or take. Dates kind of get muddled together from conversations and everything. But yeah, I get to work with five amazing people. Sorry. I get to work with five amazing people. And We have an amazing roster of bands, and it's really, there's plenty of great agencies out there that do amazing work and have some amazing bands on them. I love our roster. I love the people that we work with. I love the people that I get to work with as far as on the agent side of everything. It also made it nice and clean for me as a person who's in a band to be able to be like, hey, I'm not gonna make this dirty and be the hey, I'm booking my own tour. Hey, I'm also the guy over here. So I mean, it's even me handing over the reins on stuff, that under power play to Kate, Kate and Zeke were the first two that joined me and started everything, and then Tyler from Your Spirit Dies and Phil from Chained are our junior booking agents, but everybody kind of has a different approach, from the agency level and everything. We kind of wanted to set ourselves apart. And so we operate more in the hive mind collective, where as opposed to like, hey, I'm an agent at the same company that you're an agent at, but we're never going to talk to each other, do some mashup tours or anything like that. So it's made it interesting because there's opinions out there where it's like, oh, we're keeping it all in house, and that's not really the case. It's just, a lot of our bands happen to be friends with each other, which is cool, and we didn't set it up that way. They just became friends through shows, when we were linking, tours together. But it's also great because I mean, I talk to Kate every day, I talk to Phil every day, I talk to Zeke every day, I talk to Tyler every day. I'm Chain's agent, so shout out to Chain. So I mean, I'm working on their tour right now for spring, but it's also like, like Phil just brought in Fear of Loss, great, awesome young band out of San Antonio. They're blowing up, they're doing great things. And so it's a lot of being able to compare notes and really just not putting it all on one person's shoulders, even though everybody has their primary contact and agent, but making it more of a, hey, we're here for the greater good of the band and to help the band grow and to see them get their flowers, not so much the, oh, I'm, wearing the crown and I'm the booking agent, so everybody, can kiss my ass type of thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I run sort of a booking company. I mean, it's very DIY, but it's with um me and the bassist of World of Chaos, like founded it. We book like local little shows, not
That's
tours,
awesome.
but yeah. We book at a record store in Wilmington, Delaware, and we did a show at this like old church in Port Deposit, Maryland. And the show was really good, so we're gonna try to do more there. But
I mean, it's awesome when you can find places like either record stores or even old churches have become kind of the resurgence in venues I've seen. Um,
Mhm.
for a lot of shows throughout the Bible Belt states as well as up the East Coast. And it's really cool that there's doors opening because I mean, we see so many doors closing left and right of venues, even legendary venues like Chain Reaction in SoCal. I saw got announced that they were closing the doors in a week or two the other day, or this weekend actually. So and I mean that's been a staple in Anaheim for so long. So it's just it sucks seeing such legendary things go down. I mean, Churchill's just opened back up down here. So I mean, the CBs of the South, as they say, will never stay shut. But I mean, it's cool to see Churchill's open up again. It's cool to see things like Gilman still up and running. But I mean, these scenes, in major cities it's a lot easier because you could probably find a lot more places to work with. But, especially throughout, quote unquote, secondary cities throughout the United States, they have scenes and they want to support hardcore. I have more fun in some of these small towns than I do in like the major city shows and everything like that. And so it's really cool to see, other people supporting it, but it's also cool to see, especially people like booking shows and supporting their scene or building a scene really, like other than you guys, the only things I know about Delaware is is the guys over in Yet It Moves, which I know is
Oh yeah,
directly related to the Boy Sets Fired camp and everything like that. So we've
yeah,
sent some shows their way before and everything like that. And I mean, just I'm just happy to see hardcore growing in general.
yeah. I booked Yet It Moves at a record store. The one that I was talking about. It was our World of Chaos's record release show in August. So
Nice
for this,
with the hot vinyl and everything.
yeah, there's no record in there right now. No, this is just a sleeve. But um, this is our new-ish record. It came out in April. I've
That's
mentioned
awesome,
it
man.
way too many times on the podcast.
No, I mean, dude, that's the joy about what media has become in the scene and everything like that. Like, before, you always see the old, Black Flag videos, stuff like that, where we're all just talking about, hey, you opened up the white pages and you tried to find what record store was in what town. And and it was kind of like a weird letter writing network almost from labels and stuff like that. And now
Mhm.
you have we look how far everything has come in communication, where it's as simple as a DM or a social media message or a text message or a phone call, even to just accomplish stuff like that. And I mean, like I said, I I don't even remember what I was doing at 13 years old. Like, I definitely wasn't music related. It was probably playing sports and playing little league and stuff like that. But like, you've got an awesome foundation in education. Obviously I've known your mom forever and a day. So I mean, it's one of those things where you got a great foundation on it. You get to interact. We all know, get to see you do guest vocals when it's like Comeback Kid and Bane and stuff like that. And even and sky's the limit. I could go on and on. I'm sure you could go on and on about the people, stuff was sick of it all and everything like that. So I mean, it's just cool to see, the youth so hungry for what this has evolved into and everything.
Yeah, yeah. I'm very lucky to be able to do all this stuff. Yeah, we're seeing Shy Halud tonight in Philly, and they're also staying at our house, my house tonight. So
Nice. South Florida's finest.
yeah,
Don't let him claim Poughkeepsie anymore.
or New
No,
Jersey.
or Jersey. No, definitely tell Matt Fox I say hello. Always love seeing Matt and Geert and all of them. Um,
Yeah, we'll do.
definitely, definitely one of those bands. I mean, yeah, I mean that I remember. I think it was them with Sick of It All, and I want to say it might have been Most Precious Blood in like early 2000s, like 2002, 2003. But I remember that show in particular being fun. That was down here, and I think it was like the Fort Lauderdale area. But I mean, it's cool seeing Shy Halud still going at it. I mean, even South Florida, you have bands like Poison the Well, is considered the godfathers, of it at this point with everything. And they get thrown on a lot of emo core lists, and then like number two behind them is like Fallout Boy, and I'm like, that's not anywhere near the same thing that you're comparing at all. But whoever made that list needs to research a little bit more. But no, it's just it's awesome seeing so many bands getting their flowers, and it's awesome seeing so many things blowing up. Like I said, across the board, and just a hunger for it hasn't hit mainstream yet, and it's still an underground scene, but it's not as underground and buried as it used to be, and that's what's really cool about
Yeah. Mhm. Okay. So, what was the first punk, metal, or hardcore show you went to, and how old were you?
it. Punk, metal, or hardcore show. I mean, if I'm going to say metal show, I mean, if we're talking about show, versus just overall encompassing. Because I mean, like, I want to say probably the first ever, the first concert that I remember going to, quote unquote, by myself, meaning my friend's mom sat like 8 rows behind us and she was friends with a ticket broker. I know for a fact was on my birthday in 1996. I was 13 years old, and it was second row center to see Kiss at the Miami Arena, which is a giant hole in the ground now. Or no, I think they built it into like a Grand Central Station now for the Bright Line. Um, in terms of show, it was definitely Sick of It All. And
That's
for the
probably one of
life
the
of me,
most. Sorry,
say again.
that's probably one of the most common answers. Sick of it all. A lot of people say that.
Well, I cannot tell you what year it was because honestly it all kind of clouds together at this point in time. I do remember distinctly originally learning about hardcore and then coming back around, kind of being reintroduced to the local scene by friends, in high school. But I remember distinctly, um, back when record stores were all the thing, and it was Peaches Record and Crate down here, as well as Specs. And I remember it was an old episode of Beavis and Butthead in which they had the video for Sick of It All Step Down
Oh yeah.
on it. And it's one of those things where it's like I'm like, okay, this is weird. This isn't the usual stuff that they're making fun of. And I remember watching it, and then I remember like it's like, oh, like the gorilla, and you see the dude going back and forth, across the room picking up change, and the guy sitting there picking up change, and I'm like, I don't know what this is, but this is the coolest fucking thing I've ever seen, and I need to I need to listen to this. And that was kind of like what started the love for more of the punk and hardcore side of everything. I mean, like when it comes to, because everybody kind of divides it, and I know there's straight ahead hardcore bands, and everybody's always like, oh, like hardcore punk or metalcore. I was definitely more on the hardcore punk side. I like pre knowledge of hardcore scene and everything like that. My grow up was mostly like Seattle grunge. So like a lot of Alice in Chains, Nirvana, Pearl Jam, stuff along those lines was like, Soul Asylum, was kind of the stuff that I grew up on when I was, actually when I was your age. That's what I was listening to. I was listening to a lot of Alice in Chains and Pearl Jam.
Yeah. I think our the drummer World of Chaos. He really likes Alice in Chains. I don't know if he likes Pearl Jam though.
I I always have the fun arguments when we're on tour, and somebody will always be like, like somebody will at random bring up like 90s, rock slash grunge and like the grunge movement in general, and everybody always wants to throw Nirvana out there. And don't get me wrong, Nirvana's freaking amazing, and they absolutely wrote some bangers. In my opinion, Alice in Chains Dirt is probably the one of the most flawless albums that you can attain. Like I think I have like 2 or 3 copies of it downstairs on my vinyl collection. It's just that record for me. Like and it was kind of that shaping into the love of harder rock and everything like that. And then you find bands like for me, the holy grail is always going to be Refuse the Shape of Punk to Come, because it really was the shape of punk to come. It was an album that was written before anybody was really going to understand, like, holy shit, this is so influential to everything else. But I mean, like, it's kind of cool also being, a kid of the 80s and seeing and understanding what I was watching when I was younger and that I didn't really fully comprehend at the time come full circle. Like, I mean, like I have my Devo collection behind me, on the wall. Like that was the first thing I put up in my office, when I first started putting anything on the wall, when I moved in. And it's because like I loved Devo as a kid, and then becoming old enough to understand the nuances and what they were doing. And then, obviously seeing the recent Netflix documentary released about them and kind of that behind the scenes look was just mind blowing to me. And like to me, Devo is still like one of the best to ever do it. Like because it was just unapologetically like we're in this for us and we don't really give a shit. It was kind of the attitude. And that was always so cool to me, like that kind of attitude. And that at the end of the day is really like how I am with my band. Like I'm I'm happy when people buy our merch. I'm happy when people sing along. I'm happy when people listen to our stuff. Honestly, I'm playing the music for me and for because it's something that I enjoy and that is something that is cathartic for me is and my stress relief and my anxieties and everything like that. But also it is very cool to see. I think probably the coolest experience I have is every time we play, seeing people as soon as we're done going and either asking us or immediately just grabbing it and being like, is this okay? And reaching for the set lists on stage. And I just sit there and I'm like, we're like the way I look at it is like, we're just some band. We're just some hardcore band from South Florida that from Miami that's just doing our thing. But if it means that much to you and that's something that you connected with that much, like please take it. Like it's a piece of paper. But I mean, I could say the same thing. Like I mean, I have Devo set list. I have Misery Signal's last US show set list. I have a stack of stuff that I haven't even put up on the walls yet. From Gorilla Biscuits and from Leeway and Judge. So I mean, there's a laundry list of things that I am fortunate enough to have seen and been a part of on my end, but also to be able to have, the things that I've been able to collect over the years that make me really happy and give me that core memory.
Yeah. Yeah. Speaking of Leeway, rest in peace, Eddie. We're
Absolutely.
yeah, World of Chaos, we're doing a little weekend tour this weekend, and we're playing a matinee at the Bowery Electric, and we're gonna cover Rise and Fall and Set It Off.
Nice. Nice. I would, if I was going to do it, me personally, I'd probably be like, I want to do Mark of the Squealer, but
Yeah.
but
Um,
but I also feel like everybody's kind of done Mark of the Squealer when they've covered Leeway.
I've never heard anybody cover it. I've only Rise and it's always Rise and Fall.
Really?
Yes. I've never heard anybody cover Mark Squealer.
So I do remember, I don't remember where they were from, but I remember in like the mid to late 2000s, there was this band on the outside. And if I remember correctly, they did Mark of the Squealer. So like, and then like, I think I've heard one or two other bands like in passing, like on tour and what have you, play it. And I was just like, I was like, oh shit, that's pretty rad. Like it's also interesting hearing bands like now covering like Trapped Under Ice and Kids Like Us, where it's I've always been the like I'm covering when I think of cover songs, I'm thinking when we do covers, we cover Minor Threat when we play. So it's always interesting to me seeing like what resonated for kids in their different age ranges and everything.
yeah. We cover No Warning Behind These Walls sometimes. That's
Nice.
not that old. I mean, it's 20 years 20 years old, but still.
20 years for you is past there. 20 years for
Yeah.
me, I'm like, yeah.
All right.
But
Yeah, if you could tell your 14-year-old self anything at all, what would you tell him?
oh man. It's a great question, Gabe.
So like the 200 time you asked it.
Yeah.
188th time I've asked it.
Um, if I could tell my 14-year-old self anything, breathe, slow down, and enjoy life. There are going to be plenty of times that you're going to make mistakes, and to remember that you're a human being and that you're allowed to make mistakes. Just do your best always to understand where the mistake was and to figure out how to grow from it as a human being and just make yourself a better person in the long run. And, that's a lesson I learned more in my 20s, but it's definitely, it comes with just the evolution of self and growing up and different mindsets coming into play. But that's definitely the early advice that I would give my 14-year-old self. That and buy a lot of Bitcoin.
Yeah. All right. Do you have anything else to add before we wrap it up?
uh I don't. I mean, I guess I'll plug. Like you said, we got new record coming out. New record is going to be called "The Complexity of Being Alive." It'll be out in April. Uh, I can't pop the label stuff and all the other fun stuff just yet, because under wraps for right now. But we will have a tour that we'll be announcing in April and as well as June. And a multitude of different pair ups once the posters drop and the ad mats and announcements. But we did announce, like I said, January. We're out January 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, especially the 3rd if you're in the Savannah, Georgia area. We are playing at the VFW post in Savannah, and that is one that is for the Veterans Affairs benefit. Obviously, a lot of vets come back with PTSD and untreated and undiagnosed things and kind of get cast aside in this country. So it was something that we definitely wanted to participate in, and we kind of made a little weekender out of it. Um, we'll be on Florida Underground Festival the following weekend, and then January 16th, 17th, and 18th. Us and our friends from Reviler out of South Carolina are going to be doing a little weekender and just hanging out. So if you are in Gainesville, Orlando, or South Florida, come hang out with us and have a good time.
Cool. Thanks to Adam for joining me today. Thanks to all you for watching and listening. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel and follow me on Spotify and listening platforms. Until next week, bye.
Thanks, Gabe.